everybody, welcome to Stampers Club. My name's Karen Tralfa, and today I have, obviously, a really cute little gift card set to have you make. So you're welcome to follow along. I'm going to be using the Around the Bend and Petal Park bundles. So let's get started and let me show you what we have. All right, so not only do I have this really cute little bag, right, but what's inside the bag, right? So we have two really cute cards. One is a landscape and one is portrait. And of course you could make doubles and triples or even some alternate ones, but they're really cute. So today, let's get started with this one. Let's start with the easier one, right? All right, so let me get my set of stuff here that we're going to be needing. All right, so I have some of it pre-ready already, but I had it all in an envelope to keep it all together. So we're starting with a 8.5 by 5.5 piece of thick white cardstock. Now I've already pre-die cut and pre-embossed a few of the other parts and pieces. But let me see what we got here first off. All right, so since this is thick white cardstock, you are definitely going to want to score this first. So I've scored. We're going to score it at 4 1/4. And that way we can get a nice crisp edge. This paper tends to split when you just fold it without scoring first. And then I'm going to have the bumpy side be my inside. I'm going to fold into the bump. I don't know if you've ever known that or not, but you get a better crease here across the top if you fold with it bump in, right? And then on top of that, we're going to add a piece of basic white cardstock that I've pre-embossed with the time-worn texture embossing folder. I'm sure you've seen me use that lots. It is one of my more favorite background subtle pieces of embossing. Makes great for white on white like I'm doing here because you end up with just texture. And my words are going to be upside down if I leave it that. There's little words in here, so obviously we want to make sure that we put those in the right direction. So get that popped up on there like that. Okay. And then I have a piece of balmy blue, and this is part of the specialty paper that comes with, does come with it. It's in the annual catalog, some of the specialty, I think it's a Wash and Beauty paper. But I just wanted this pretty textured green. I know the flowers are beautiful. It's like a shame not to use those, isn't it? They just didn't match what I was doing. And I'm going to mat these two things together here, maybe. Possibly I can get them straight. And I'm going to attach that unit with dimensionals onto my card. Get one in the middle for support here. Okay, get that right in the middle. Okay. And then my next step, I'm going to use another piece of balmy blue. This is basic white that I have in a die cut with a stitched rectangle. And then this is just another little piece of that designer paper out of that same pack. And first I'm going to add this little bit of designer paper on the bottom here, right in between those stitchings. And then I'm going to grab a greeting. I'm going to use, just to say thanks, and some Mossy Meadow ink. And we're going to stamp that greeting right along the top here. Okay. Put that away before I wear it. And then that we're going to add to this piece of balmy blue. Oh, a little piece of white paper that keeps hanging on there. And this also is going to go on with dimensionals. You could certainly glue it straight down. I just think that dimensionals give your projects just that extra little bit of wow factor for very little effort. Then I'm going to get also another piece of paper and the Petal Park. This is the Petal Park bundle. It comes with the stamp set and a punch. You can also buy them separately if they're no longer available as a bundle. And I need some balmy blue ink, and I'm going to use the more solid one. Now, since my punch, this is somewhat directional on your punch, so you want to make sure when you're stamping that you're ultimately going to be able to get that lined up in there, okay? So when you stamp, stick, you're going to want to make sure that you're going to be somewhere near the direction. Okay, so this looks like about like that, and we're going to get some balmy blue. Well, I only need that flower anyway, so that's good. And then I'm also going to use the outline piece, and I only need this little flower here, but you want to make sure that you get the stamping in the same somewhat, direction, because you do have to punch it out. Okay, so I'm going to do one in solid and one in the outline image. Get that out of my way before I have an accident. All right, so again, I'm going to work from the bottom and line those up and have them fly across the floor. And then the same with this one. Get these lined up over here. Not quite there. There we go. And line those up. All right, so now I'm only using two of these. I just want this one and this one. These other ones you can save for later or toss them, whichever works for you. Okay, so now we're going to start kind of building the front. I'm going to curl these edges just a little bit with my bone folder. You just kind of work the paper and soften it up. Give it a little texture. Can't hurt it. That way it's just not flat. Okay. And then some of the pre-cut die pieces from this very, very nice set of dies that this comes with. And these dies, I don't know if you can see it or not, but like this one has these little inner looks like more extra die cutting, but it's actually just embossing. It's not going to cut. I know on this darker one it's hard to see, but you end up with these really beautiful embossed lines on this piece of paper. I know it looks flat, but it's not, trust me. The leaves even the leaves have like an embossed lining on them. I don't know if I can get close enough. There you go. See how it's like embossed? So it cuts it and embosses it. And then let's see if it shows up on the flower. A little bit. It's just the lighting. Okay. So I'm going to use, let's see, what order did I put these in on? I'm going to use some liquid glue for this. It just seems to be a little bit easier to work with. I'm going to also curl these up a little bit to soften this paper. And I'm going to do all this ahead of time, just so that once I open up my glue, I'm not playing with it, getting it to restart. You know how that goes, right? And let's see. There, and the same with this. These daisy petals to pop up a little bit. I am missing a piece, and I don't know if it's what flew on the floor or if it's stuck in my envelope. Huh. Oh, we can cut another one. I definitely had it. My guess is it flew on the floor. I need my little center for that guy, right? So we'll have to cut that. That's easy. We have the resources for that. The technology, right? So I'm going to start adding my flowers, and I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to the bottom of it and start making this pretty little arrangement here in the middle. I'm just going to get one right about there. And then I'm going to get some mini dimensionals, so it'll be easier for this. put my full-sized one, my darker one here, and get that up here off to the edge. Okay. I'm going to get one of my double leaves, get some glue on that, and I'm just going to slide that under so it looks right. There we go. Then I'm going to work to the other side and get some glue on there. You don't have to glue the whole thing. This glue is really, really sticky. I'm going to get some leaves like right about there. Looks good. And this one, oh, I'm going to put that one on a dimensional too. Why not? I don't know if I did before or not, but I'm going to this time. We're going to get that just about, I want to be a little higher. What about there? Because this is going to end up right here in the middle. We'll get these on bigger dimensional. I'm actually going to double stack this dimensional. And I'm going to get that right. Let's see, I think I went this way. Right about there. Perfect. Now I'm going to kind of fill in with some of these other little leaves. This one here, I might put this one on a mini. I'm going to put that on a mini dimensional. And I'm going to get right up under that leaf and stick that down there. Just trying to fill in some dead zones, you know, so that we have a nice full bouquet of flowers here. Get that one under there. Okay. And then we can get this little guy in here too. We're just going to glue him in. Just for a little added color back there in the background. Now, the part that we were missing was this little flower center. And I have a little scrap of paper here. Get my machine up here. You know, I'll probably find it stuck to my arm or something like that. It's just this little teeny tiny thing. Oops, there we go. All right, where'd he go? Oh, he's in the die. Okay, let's get a piercing tool. Sharp pair of scissors. This will work. Maybe. There we go. Get that out of the die. Okay, and then this. Sometimes I find it easier to put the adhesive on what I'm going to stick to rather than what I'm sticking on, especially when it comes to small little items like this, because then you can kind of move it around too and get it centered. But there's our wonderful little flower center. And then, you know, we got to have bling, guys. Do you notice these really adorable little dragonflies? I love dragonflies. I love these things. And then, I don't know if you know about my Dragonfly rewards too. So you guys can earn free stamp sets when you shop through my online store. You want to check that out, my loyalty rewards over at www.stampersclub.com. I think you can see that right across the top of the screen here. But because as you shop with me, you can get some extra free stamp sets. Now this I'm using a glue dot to put on. It works a little better than the liquid glue. The liquid glue will work, but it takes a long time to dry because it doesn't absorb into the metal in any way, shape, or form. So I'm just going to kind of tuck my little dragonfly over here off to the side. And he's just flying around in there. Isn't that adorable? I mean, it was actually pretty quick. All right, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so our second card has a little bit more going on, a little more detail here. And again, I've pre-cut all of my stuff. Make sure I got it all out of there. Even these little flower centers I pre-cut. Okay, so we'll build that as we're ready to go. And then I just have some of the specialty paper, the Awash and Beauty specialty paper. Isn't that just stunning? Like that could be its card all by itself with just a greeting. Like you wouldn't have to do much. But I'm going to use this pretty gingham side here, this little plaid side. And this is Blushing Bride cardstock. So what I'm going to do here, this one's going to seem a little bit different, okay? But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave this card open. I can go ahead and score it so I know where the middle is. So I'm going to score at 4 1/4. This is a half a sheet. That's 8 1/2 by 5 1/2. But I'm just going to leave it open, okay? And we're just going to kind of know where our scoring line is. We're going to take this Whisper White paper and we're going to attach it right to the front of the card, across the whole front, right along that score line. Okay? So we've basically covered the entire front of the card. Okay. Now we're going to get this really pretty border stamp. This is part of the Around the Bend stamp set. Hence the bends. Look at all the cute little bends and corners that this set has. Isn't that adorable? So we're going to be getting this, and I'm going to use Mary Merlot ink. Now, these larger blocks, sometimes I find that it's easier to put the ink to the image rather than hold the block and get it, actually on the ink pad. So I find it just a little bit easier to do it that way. So now we're going to stamp with the polka dots on the bottom. And we're going to stamp this card probably, I want it about 1/2 and 1/2 here. That looks good. Okay, of course I get ink on my paper, on my table. What else is new? This is pretty bold, so let's close that. And then I'm going to use some Balmy Blue ink with the greeting. So I'm just so happy for you. And we're going to run that right along this straight part of the line. Okay, just so happy for you. So I'm having you keep this flat. Well, I'm keeping it flat for a reason, right? There's always a reason. It's a method to the madness. We're going to pull up our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And we need our base plate. And I'm going to use this long, just scalloped edge. Okay. We're going to put that whole thing in there. And we're going to line up our dots. Need to do this. We're going to line up the dots in the scallops. So this one was really important to actually stamp before you die cut because it was virtually impossible to line up those little edges there. I think I've got it. And then of course we want to make sure that this is within our machine. We don't want to bend our die, right? So I think I have it. Get my top plate down. Carefully. And then you're going to be able to cut both pieces of paper at the exact spot. You would never be able to get one cut and then expect the other one to line up in the exact same spot because, every time you position this, it's going to cut a little bit differently. So it's best to just attach those two pieces of paper first and cut them together. It's the basic white's a little on the thinner side, so you don't have any problem cutting those two thicknesses of cardstock simultaneously. Okay, so let me get my bone folder and get this a little bit straighter or flatter. All right, now on the inside of the card, because we have this, full half exposed here, we definitely have to add a little pizzazz and pretty to that, right? So that's why I went with some designer paper on the inside. And it's pretty light, so you can certainly stamp your greeting on there too. All right, so then we're going to start building all of these flowers. I'm going to certainly get all my fluffing done first. Get these edges curled. And on the leaves too, I'm just going to lightly kind of bend those leaves out. It doesn't take much effort to do this, but you get a lot going for it, right? So I'm definitely using quite a few little elements out of this bundle. There's a lot of small flowers that don't have, it's not like they cut out something you've stamped. They're simply elements that are complementary to the other items in it. And I'm seeing more and more of that being done. Stampin' Up's designers are doing an amazing job at creating some of these things and making it all work together. They must spend hours on. And then I just have some other little extra little leaf pieces, like some of these, the leaves like this one, this die here, it cuts out like a whole bunch at one time. And if you've noticed in some of our dies, you're getting doubles. So like you're getting doubles of things, so that as you're creating, you're not doing one at a time. You're getting multiples at a time. Okay, so let's get going here. What did I do? So I have 2 and 2. So I need 2 of these, 2 of these, 2 of these, 2 of these, and then some accessories. 2 and 2. All right. So we're just going to start laying this out. And again, I'm going to use liquid glue because I find that easier than trying to get the snail on such small areas here. And I'm just going to start building these flowers out. I'm going to keep this just to the edge of the page here. And the same thing on this side. I'm going to kind of cross it and get just to the edge of that one. Okay. Then I'm going to add my flowers. What did I do? Whoops. I'm going to do one here. And then this one here, I'm not going to put on dimensionals. I'm just going to put some glue on the back side of it there. And get it kind of tucked under there, just a little bit. That looks good. This one, I don't want my center in that direction, so let's turn that. I want my centers to be a little more flat. Okay. Then I'm going to come back in and tuck these little leaves under to fill in the gaps. Again, like I said, it does not take a whole lot of adhesive to do this. I'm just filling in the gaps here. Wherever it looks like it's got a little bit of a dead spot, right? Okay. And then I'm going to use a couple of these little guys here too. I think I'll put one here. And I'll probably put one there. And again, this is where, when you're putting things in, I'll put one there and one there. When you're using small items, rather than put the glue on the item, I put the glue on the finished project and then bring my finished piece to the table. Let's see this one here. This one's upside down. Put them up there. Should have another little green one. I don't. I'll use this one. Use this little rounded one. Flip that over. I want the texture on the front. We're just kind of filling in some extras. And then my flower set, these ones, my flower centers, I want to put up on dimensionals. So again, I'm going to put the dimensional on the project first. Just using some minis here, right in the center of my flower. It's easier for me to line up that way. And then when I get the flower, I can just set it down on top of there, instead of trying to figure out where it goes and making sure it's like level. So there's ones, right? You could have certainly stopped there, but I didn't. I'm going to add one to the bottom corner too. And these, I'm going to do kind of basically the same thing. I'm going to get a spray going in one direction, and a spray going in another direction. I'll go this one this way, like this. And one of these flowers is going to go on a dimensional. And I think I'll keep it to the outside edge because that's what I did on the other side. And then this one I'm just going to glue down and get it tucked up underneath there a little bit. Stay within my, did the same thing on this. So I keep doing that where I'm not paying attention to the direction of the little flower center. I want it more flat. Okay. Get out there. Okay. And then we'll add in some extra greenery here. Put one there. I think I'll put one over here. I'm going to put it this way. Put it over here. A little more greenery. And then the same with, I'm going to put one there and one there. Get that one there. Flip that over so I can see that pretty texture that's on there. Fill in that space there. Whoops, I want these on dimensionals. Not liquid. I want them to match. Get a little baby one there. And a little baby one there. Wow, that paper didn't want to come off. Usually those just pull right off for me. And of course you can use your pick tool here also and get these picked up and put right on. And voila. Only thing it's missing is a couple of dragonflies. Look at that. We're going to get some of them. All right, so we get one here. I'm going to get one flying right there. And we'll get the other one tailing them, playing catch up. These things, I just love these little metal embellishments, and they're not thick. They're thin. They're pretty thin. Look how thin they are. They're like almost nothing. No extra postage needed. Now, when you do mail stuff, if you lay a piece of cardstock over the top, it protects that you know, the envelope from poking through, where the post office will sometimes say, "Oh, it's bumpy." This kind of helps that bump get kind of like bridged over, and you're still within the thickness of standard mailing. So that's another way to be able to mail stuff that's got a little bit more rigid items on there. But there's a second card. Okay, so then let's do the little box that they got to go in, the cute little bag that it has to go on, right? Because you really want to do that too. And that also I have kind of pre-organized here for you, so you don't have to watch me do all the big shot work. All right, all the die cutting extra. All right, so this pretty little bag here. We got some ribbon, and we definitely have some pieces here too. All right, so this is just some of the die cut. This is the tags, the die tags. I use those all the time. So I'm going to get my little guy here. And again, I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive on that. We get a pair of tweezers here, because that might be a little hard to do with the Take Your Pick tool. Might be hard to do with this too. And I want to put the little ring right over the hole. And that's actually one of the die cuts in the tag dies. Super cute, right? And then we're gonna put them together. Oh, I'll do that last. We'll do this first. No, I'm gonna do this now. So I'm gonna take some string, linen thread, and we're gonna knot it at one end here. Yeah, I'll knot it at one end. Just get that over there. It has to be a little higher. And I'll go through both of these with these tied together. Put that through. And open it up. And slide this piece through it. And that way it'll hold the tag real cute like that. I might have done this a little too high. See if I can get that unknotted. So I want it to ultimately be there. Yeah, I think I did it too high. That's okay, I can do it again. I used an extra long piece of string here of linen thread. That's probably better. Let's cut that off. There's always room there, right? All right, so I'm going to grab this really cool little element here, and that is going to get attached to the tag. It's going to do it kind of right off to the side here a little bit. Get my greeting back out with my Mossy Meadow ink. I'm going to stamp our just wanted to say hi. Perfect. Move on to this is a scallop circle. And that I want on a couple of dimensionals. And we're going to put it right in the middle of our other element. Perfect. Just wanted to say thanks. Now let's add our little flowers to this too. Let me get my items curled up here a little bit. Okay. And my leaves here. And we're basically going to do the same thing that we did on the other two cards. I'm going to build out our floral arrangement. I'm going to put one up the side here. And one across the bottom here. And one of these is going to go on a dimensional. I'll put that one over here. And to this one, I'm going to glue down. Just kind of get it down underneath there. And fill in a little filler leaf here. Right here between the two of them. I need to put it right there. My flower's moving around on me. There we go. Sometimes the liquid glue, you do have to give it a minute. All right, and then I'm going to put these I'm just going to glue in. These are just little flower centers. Instead of the white centers, you can certainly just use other smaller flowers too. Whoa! Get back there. You can't come home with me. And one of these adorable little dragonflies. I love it when you guys claim your free rewards with me and I get to send you that free stamp set. Makes my day. Love giving you guys free things. All right. And that goes on there. And then let's get it on this bag. So I'm just going to put the ribbon around one side of the handle. And then we'll get our tag on there. Maybe. There it goes. Lay that up there. And then I'm going to make a bow. Just like tying your shoes. It is, honest. The trick is to keep your ribbons as flat as possible, all kind of curving in the same direction, that they don't flip over partway through your bow. And then your bow stays really nice and flat, and hold the middle, pull your tails, and then just retighten until you get the desired length that you want. And then I need to find a pair of scissors and trim these little ribbon tails a little bit. Now, if you don't want your ribbon, your tag doing that, what I did is I actually added a little bit of glue on the back side here to have it lay so I can always see a little bit of this tag below it. And then I grabbed one dimensional, just one, because I didn't want this flopping in the wind. So I'm just going to add one dimensional in the back. I'm just going to stick one on the back like that, and then put it there. And then that way it kind of stays and you don't have it flop it around. But you can certainly let it be loose too. All right, and then of course you can put both of your cards right in there, and you have a perfect little hostess gift, neighbor gift, co-worker gifts, mother-in-law gift. Sometimes we don't know what to buy our mothers or mothers-in-laws, and who can't use handmade cards? Who doesn't want to use handmade cards? My ribbon's my tag's a little high. Who doesn't need or can't use some little handmade cards? A couple envelopes, some of the cards. But let me show you a couple of other cards that I did with this suite too, besides this wonderful bag and these two lovelies. So at my retreat, my last retreat, this was actually a project that people could make. So we had actually 4 cards. Here were 2 other examples of how we can use this around the bend. So this one has one of those angles, but I just did a top piece. I didn't do the whole front so that it was a full card. So we actually had 4 cards, all color coordinated, made with the Around the Bend and Petal Park suites, and nicely tucked in there. Voila. So I'm glad you guys joined me today. I hope to see you again. Of course, if you want to subscribe and so you can follow my channel, get notified when I do additional videos. Comments are always fun to have. And you can always find me on Facebook and Pinterest and Instagram also, or my website at www.stampersclub.com. You guys all have a wonderful scrap happy day. Bye now.